When I overheard that my roommate Jason, the most handsome guy on campus, was getting engaged to Claire, the most beautiful girl on campus, I burst into tears and my body smelled like milk. After going to the hospital for a checkup, I found out that I was pregnant. I was afraid that Jason didn't want the child, so I bought a ticket and fled abroad overnight. Unexpectedly, Jason misunderstood that I ran away with another man and chased after me. He pushed me against the French window, his eyes red. Less than half a month after leaving me, you're already living together? Tell me, where did he touch you? I'll cover up the marks he left. After finishing my last exam, I walked out of the classroom to find my roommate Jason. Unexpectedly, I saw him and the school beauty Claire talking secretly in the safe staircase. I quietly leaned over to try to hear what they were saying. Claire, go back and tell the elders to find time during the summer vacation to complete the engagement. As for Aaron, you should handle it yourself. Don't let him show up at the engagement party and embarrass everyone. Jason, I'll find a reason to send him out to play for a few days. He won't worry about our arrangements. Claire, so, do you really want to keep him outside? If he knew, wouldn't he make a scene? You like him so much? Are you so reluctant to break up with him? Jason, it's not like you don't understand. He's very well behaved and won't make a fuss. He trusts everything I say unconditionally. I clutched my clothes tightly around my chest, so angry that I could hardly breathe. After being together for half a year, what does Jason think of me? Suddenly, I felt a wetness on my chest. I immediately realized that my body smelled like milk. Am I sick? I couldn't listen to anything they said, so I rushed to the hospital. After the examination, the doctor said I was pregnant. It's been 6 months. So milk production is a normal phenomenon, and as long as my mood swings are not too big, it will not affect my normal life. I didn't realize it before because I have a slim figure and you can't tell I'm pregnant, plus I have a good physique and don't have morning sickness. The doctor said that now that I'm older, I need to be more careful and jump around less. When I walked out of the hospital with the report, I was still in disbelief. Calculating the time, if it's 6 months, isn't that when Jason marked me for the first time? How come I won the prize the first time? I still remember how crazy he looked that night and the whole room was filled with his cedar-scented pheromones. Now Jason and Claire are getting engaged, and the Jean and Chi families are among the most wealthy families in Chuan City. If the two families join forces to deal with me, a person without any background, wouldn't I be beaten to pieces? It's too late to abort the baby this month. I want to protect the child. So, I no longer hesitated. I bought a ticket and flew directly to the UK and ran away. After arriving in the UK, I sent a breakup text to Jason. Immediately, I completely blocked all contact information from Jason. I was free, but at the same time, I felt a huge sense of emptiness inside. I chose to give birth to this child and raise him alone. After a week of staying in my rented apartment, I was so bored. I planned to go see the Magic Mike show, which I have always wanted to see but never got to. Even though Jason is a cool and aloof school hunk at school, he has been a jealous person during the 6 months he has been with me. Not only are boys not allowed to get close to me, girls are not allowed to get close to me either. On stage, the 1.80-meter tall male models with their upper bodies naked all have 8-pack abs, dog-like waists, and they thrust their hips and twist their hips without any shyness. The smile on my face never left my face. But I didn't expect to meet an acquaintance there, Tyler. Tyler and I go to the same school. He greeted me, and I asked him and found out that the person he had a crush on had a boyfriend. He couldn't forget the other person, so he followed the two people here. I patted his shoulder and comforted him. It's okay, there are men everywhere, don't hang yourself on a tree. My boyfriend was getting engaged to someone else, so I just ran away with the kids. You're pregnant? Tyler paused as he was holding my drink. I winked at him and said, keep it a secret for me. I'm afraid he will force me to abort the baby. I want to give birth to the baby. Tyler nodded. Let's go. The food here is not suitable for you to drink. I will take you to the Chinese restaurant to drink soup. You look too thin now. It happened that I hadn't eaten before I came, so I agreed. After dinner, Tyler took me back to the apartment. He had some problems with his hotel room, so he had to stay at my house for a few days. I thought my house was big, so I agreed. Who knows, it will cause a lot of trouble. But someone knocked on the door in the middle of the night. I rubbed my sleepy eyes, opened the door, and saw Jason. He stood in front of my apartment door, looking exhausted and carrying a suitcase. My first reaction was surprise. Why is he coming here instead of preparing for his wedding in the country? By the time I came to my senses, he had closed the door and had already lifted me up and carried me back to the room. He placed me in front of the floor-to-ceiling window in the master bedroom. His tall figure made it impossible for me to move at all. After not seeing each other for half a month, he stood up as soon as he saw me. My ears turned red. After so many times of negative distance contact, we are very familiar with each other's bodies. But when I thought about him marrying someone else and abandoning me and the child, I got extremely angry. I pushed him away and asked him with a grievance and a straight face, "What are you doing here?" "What did I do?" Jason laughed angrily. He pinched my chin and lifted it up, forcing me to look him in the eye. There was resentment in her tone. "Aaron, you can't bully me like this just because I love you. Why do we need to break up? What did I do wrong? Didn't we agree that I would take you out to play after the final exams are over?" Hearing him mention this made me even angrier. Didn't he send me away just to keep me from knowing that he was getting engaged and ruining his wedding? Big scumbag. Is it so hard to understand that you should break up if you don't like each other anymore? I shook off his hand and yelled at him. After I finished speaking, all kinds of grievances surged into my heart. Actually, I don't like living abroad. I've been here for so long, and I can't get used to the white people's food here. I even started to have obvious morning sickness, either vomiting or throwing up. The body has become thinner. But I was afraid that if I returned to China he would force me to abort the child, so I kept hesitating whether to return to China. Jason put his arms around my waist, preventing me from escaping from his arms. The hoarse voice was filled with reluctance. "You don't like me anymore? Then who do you like now? Do you like the man who accompanies you to the bar to watch male models? Aaron, how could you have the heart to betray me?" There was a sudden pain on the delicate lips. Jason kissed her harder. His kiss was more powerful and aggressive than before. Very hopeless. I felt so comfortable and happy being kissed by him that tears of joy welled up in the corners of my eyes. After the kiss, I slapped him and said, "Go away. I don't want to see you again." I turned my head away, not wanting to see him again. I was afraid that if I continued to get entangled with him, I would do something immoral. Because of the huge emotional ups and downs, I realized that the skin on my chest was wet. Not good. I quickly stretched out my hands to block myself and hurriedly drove him away. "Get out!" Unexpectedly, the changes in my body did not escape his eyes. He immediately grabbed my arm, his eyes reddened. "Less than half a month after leaving me, you're already living together. Now your body has been trained by him into this state. Tell me, where did he touch you? I want to cover up the marks he left." When Jason approached me again, I vomited. At the same time, I saw the devastation in his eyes. He paused as he stretched out his hand towards me. His tone was broken and his voice trembled. "Aaron, do you hate me so much now? Do you feel like vomiting when I touch you?" I wanted to tell him that it wasn't his fault. But I couldn't control my body's reaction, so I quickly ran to the bathroom and vomited everything. Maybe the noise I made was too loud and Tyler was woken up. He rushed to my room and patted my back. "Aaron, are you okay?" After I recovered, I stood up straight and shook my head at Tyler to indicate that I was fine. At this time, Tyler noticed Jason standing beside him in disappointment, and he whispered to me, "Is this your ex-boyfriend?" "Hey, Alpha God, you are so lucky." I nodded. Not only does Jason have a stunning face, but his body is also strong enough to kill a cow. My fertile farmland is often ravaged by him. Tyler stepped forward and put his arm around Jason's shoulders. "My name is Tyler, nice to meet you." Jason glanced at Tyler calmly, his eyes scanning him up and down. He didn't say anything. The milk that just spilled out was sticking to my clothes and making me uncomfortable, so I decided to ask Jason to leave so I could take a shower. Unexpectedly, he suddenly said, Zuzuim, since we know each other, please take me in for one night. I can pay. Is 1 million a day enough? My desire to chase the person away instantly disappeared. There's no need to be so hard on money. It's my fault that I've been afraid of poverty since I was a child. I greeted with a smile. WeChat or Alipay? Pay first and stay later. My mouth was faster than my brain, and the next second I remembered that I had blocked him. WeChat. Jason curled his lips. Okay, now we have to add people back. 7. When I woke up the next day, I found that someone had slept on the bed next to me. I remember that I slept very peacefully. But before I washed up and changed my clothes, I noticed that my chest was red and swollen, as if it had been bitten by a mosquito. Never mind, it's no big deal. You can't be so soundly asleep that you don't even notice a thief breaking into your house. When I got to the kitchen, I found Jason making breakfast. He was cooking vegetable and lean meat porridge, and the sweet aroma of the porridge wafted into my nose. I rushed over with eyes shining like a puppy seeing a bone. Is there any for me? It smells so good, I want to eat it. When did you learn to cook? Jason comes from a very wealthy family. He is a young master who has never done housework and has more than a dozen servants serving him at home. I haven't eaten normal food since I came here. God knows how attractive this porridge cooked by Jason is to me. Even if he threatened me and asked me to get back together with him before he could eat it, I would agree to him without hesitation. He didn't put any conditions to me, he just filled the bowl and handed it to me. Eat, you've become so thin lately, as if someone has abused you. It seems your new boyfriend is not a good cook and has left you hungry like this. You can't live like that, right? After eating bran, can you still eat those whole grains? Crack, crack, crack. I choked at Jason's words. He immediately stood up and stood behind me, patting my back, saying lovingly, "Slow down, no one is competing with you. If you want more, I'll cook more for you." A curious male voice sounded behind us. "What are you doing? What smells so good?" Tyler had just woken up and walked over and saw the porridge on the table. "Oh my God, my ex-husband, you are such a good cook? Is there a portion for me? Can I have a taste?" "No." Jason refused coldly. Tyler sighed, "What a shame. I'll go out and find something to eat. I won't bother you anymore." There were only 2 of us left in the kitchen. Suddenly, Jason curled his lips and smiled at me, then bent down, stretched out his hands to hold the back of the chair, and held me in his arms. "Your new boyfriend is so generous. You know I'm your ex-boyfriend, but you still dare to leave you alone with me. Baby, it seems like he doesn't like you that much. He doesn't have the slightest possessiveness towards you. Or, are you a fake couple and you hired someone to deceive me?" Jason stared at me with an extremely aggressive look. My heart skipped a beat, and I almost forgot that Jason has an IQ of 180. If he found out that I was pregnant with his child, it would be terrible for me and the child. "Don't talk nonsense, he trusts me and won't betray him. Don't stir up trouble between us. You should go now. The money I gave you is only enough to keep you here until morning." Jason's face darkened instantly. I couldn't get Jason away, because he gave me more money and said he would stay with me while I was in the UK. When I saw the huge amount of money, I couldn't refuse it. After all, it would be too expensive to raise a child after I gave birth to him. However, I didn't dare stay at home alone with him. I followed Tyler to various places to wait for his sweetheart and his sweetheart's boyfriend. When I got home that night, I saw Jason packing his things and looking like he was about to leave. These days, I've been used to eating the 3 meals a day he cooked for me, and now he's leaving suddenly, and I suddenly feel a little uncomfortable. I drooped my face and asked him with all my strength, "Are you going back to your country?" "It's not me, it's us, go pack up. Don't stay here where you can't even get enough food. Come back with me," Jason said. I hesitated. Actually, I wanted to return home, but I was worried about whether my children would stay or go back. "Aaron, come back with me and I'll give you 1 billion. I rushed into the room, packed my things, and looked at Jason, who was still standing there in a daze. "Let's go, what are you still standing for? If I go back early, I can still have breakfast." I called Tyler on the phone and asked him to help me cancel the lease. "No, you didn't even hesitate?" Jason laughed angrily. Why are you hesitating? Thinking about it for one more second would be disrespectful to Ibiao. I've already gone over in my mind how I'm going to spend the money. Rubbing hands excitedly. Little money grubber. The deposit is 100 million. I've transferred the money to you. Let's go. Sichuan Airport. As soon as we walked out of the boarding gate, I saw the school beauty Claire. It was obvious that she was looking for Jason. There was a woman standing next to her, holding her hand. It should be a close friend or something who brought her here to see Jason. When she saw me, she raised her hand and smiled and said hello. Hello, Aaron. I'm not good. I'm confused, damn me. They are about to get engaged, and I shouldn't get involved with Jason anymore, no matter what the purpose is. I picked up my suitcase and was about to leave, but Jason frowned and stopped me. Where are you going? It's none of your business. Who are you to me? Anyway, the 100 million has been obtained. If not now, when? I need to go find my boyfriend, so please let go or I'll call the police. Then try and see if you can walk? I had only taken a few steps when the bodyguards who came to pick up Jason surrounded me and blocked my way. I suddenly had an idea and held my stomach. Jason, I need to go to the bathroom. I'll take you there. No need. I'm that old, and I still need you to accompany me to the toilet. What's the point of that? I'll leave my luggage with you. I'll be back soon. I emphasized to Jason. He's not a child, he can't be lost. Jason, I just want to discuss something with you. Claire called out to Jason. He agreed but didn't follow. I escaped successfully. Within 2 days, Jason somehow found out my whereabouts. He chased me and carried me into the car. This time, his attitude was tougher than I thought. Baby, come with me. I will take good care of you. I was negligent in the past and didn't know you were pregnant. You shouldn't have hidden this from me. My heart skipped a beat. He had finally discovered this important matter. Will he allow me to keep the baby? Even if I stay, will my child become an illegitimate child? If an orphan like me gave birth to a child without a father, I can imagine what kind of gossip would be around. I don't want my child to be looked at strangely by others in school when he grows up. Before I could figure out the answer, Jason took me back to the villa where we used to stay during our winter and summer vacations. Ever since Jason found out I was pregnant, he treated me like a fragile doll. There were more than a dozen chefs and bodyguards at home taking care of me, fearing that I would get hurt. 11. During the summer vacation, my classmates organized a party to see me off after they knew that I might have to take a leave of absence next semester. But I didn't expect that Jason and Claire would come too. I just went to the bathroom to vomit because I was not feeling well, and when I came back I found that my seat was taken. Jason and Claire are both popular figures in the school, so it is natural that they will be the center of attention at the party. The two of them sat in the main seat on the sofa, like the center of attention. I didn't dare sit there again, so I chose a secluded spot in a corner. Jason didn't notice me. Roommate, Jason, remember to send me an invitation to your engagement party next month. Yes, I want one too. The marriage of the two great families in Chuan City will surely be a spectacular scene. They then said a lot of flattering words, but I couldn't listen to them. I found an excuse and slipped away. After leaving the restaurant, I remembered that it was time for my prenatal checkup. I quickly took a taxi to the hospital. Who knew that I had just received the examination order from the doctor and was about to go for the examination? Jason hurried over and stopped in front of me, looking flustered. He grabbed my wrist and with red eyes he asked me, "Are you going to abort our child?" No, I won't allow it. The child is part of me too. You can't decide his life or death without asking me. Baby, is there something I didn't do well? Can I change my career? There was paranoia in Jason's eyes. He spoke sincerely and humbled himself to beg me. He seemed to want to keep our child, but when I thought about him marrying Claire in the future, my child would become illegitimate. I just don't want my child to be with him. He held me in his arms and said, "Let's go home first and discuss it after that, okay?" Before I could explain, Jason tried to carry me away. I couldn't help but want to give him a big slap and roll my eyes at him. When will he be able to calm down a bit? He is such an impatient person. Prenatal checkup. I'm here for a prenatal checkup. I don't plan to abort your baby. I'll count to 3, then you put me down. 1, 2. Jason put me down before I finished counting. Wife, I was wrong. Jason lowered his head, like a big dog who had done something wrong, and looked at me with wet eyes. I can't stand his attitude the most. My heart is so soft. Depending on how you behave, I'll consider whether to forgive you. I pushed his hand away and put some distance between us. Okay, my wife told me to go east and I will never go west. Half a month later, Jason's father sent Jason away and came to find me. He took me to a tea house to talk. He has been in the business world for many years and has a terrifying aura. I was a little scared. I didn't know where to put my hands, let alone look him in the eye. He looked me up and down and said calmly, "Are you the one my son is hiding? I don't want you two to be together. You won't be happy since your statuses are so different. Here's your check. I want you to leave on your own accord." Looking at the check for $10 million on the table, to be honest, I was not tempted. A few days ago, I thought about running away, but Jason somehow noticed it. That night, he tied me up with a tie and took me to his study where I was beaten all night long. The next day, I was so tired that I didn't even have the energy to eat, so Jason had to hold me in his lap and feed me. Can't run away at all. Jason said that if I dared to run again, he would break my legs. I shook my head and pushed the check back. "I'm sorry, but I can't agree to your request." Jason's father's face darkened, and his aura became even more oppressive. "You want me to pay more? You seem greedy. In that case, don't blame me for attacking the people around you. You came from the Happy Orphanage, right? What would you do if I bought it and tore it down?" He threw a file bag at me, and when I opened it I found the information about the orphanage. I panicked. With his strength, it would be easy for him to destroy an orphanage. "No!" I raised my head stubbornly, clenched my fists, and my eyes turned red. "I am an orphan and was abandoned at the door of an orphanage when I was born. It was the director of the orphanage who took me home and raised me. She is more important to me than anyone else. Over the years, I have watched the orphanage, under the leadership of the director, save one homeless person after another. The orphanage is my home and I won't allow anyone to destroy it. Go back and break up with him, and then my people will take you away." "Okay, I promise you don't touch them." I chose to leave on the day Jason and Claire got engaged. When we woke up in the morning, Jason leaned over and kissed me on the forehead as he had done before. "I have to go out for something important. I will be back later. You just wait for me at home." "Well, I'll wait for you to come back. I'll bring you your favorite little cake later." Looking at Jason's receding back, I silently said goodbye to him in my heart. 5 minutes after Jason left, his father's men arrived. I was blindfolded and taken away. 15. 1 month later. I am now 8 months pregnant and my belly is finally showing. The person who was in charge of guarding me naturally told Jason's father about this. He came to see me once and stared at my round belly for a long time. Finally, he managed to say, "Take good care of the baby. After the baby is born, our Gene family will take care of it." He sent people to deliver many things, all of which were health supplements. When I arrived at the resort, all my electronic devices were confiscated. Not to mention contacting Jason, I can't even play games for entertainment. It's like being isolated from the world. Fortunately, there are many handicraft projects to try here, so I am not bored. But when I lie in bed alone at night, I miss the days with Jason. I don't know how he is doing now. Is he married to Claire? Do they have children? The weather was bad today. It started raining and thundering outside before I went to bed. I slept very uneasily and felt someone sucking my neck in my dream. It even felt like my hands and feet were tied up with chains. But I couldn't wake up and was immersed in the dream. 16. After waking up, I found myself in an unfamiliar environment. I saw Jason sitting at the head of my bed. He looked more haggard than before, and there was a lot of stubble on his chin. Before I could stand up and ask him what was going on, I found that my hands and feet were handcuffed with furry chains. No, Jason must be sick. Why is he playing cosplay for no reason? He has quite a few tricks, and I quite enjoy them on weekdays. But now I still have a baby and can't play with him at all. I angrily said to him, "Jason, you bastard, let me go." No looseness. Baby, you are not good. How many times have you escaped? Do you like that wild man so much? He pinched my jaw and forced me to look him in the eye. I was frightened by the depth of his eyes. He kissed a boy secretly in the classroom. Don't like a man who plays two girls at the same time. Can't you just like me? Jason buried his head in my shoulder. Soon I felt a wet touch. Jason actually cried. I was the one who was kidnapped, and I hadn't even started crying yet, so why was he crying? 17. During this time, no matter what I said, Jason was certain that I would continue to run away. He wouldn't let me go. I was so angry that I couldn't help but lose my temper at him. Look, he just finished washing me, carried me back to bed, and wanted to hold me in his arms and fall asleep. I kicked him and said, "Get out of here. Are you worthy enough to sleep with me? Don't even think about touching me until you let me go." He is just an unruly wolf cub who doesn't understand what people say. But Jason is too strong. I think my foot just now was just tickling him, but he didn't move at all on the bed. Instead, he looked like he was enjoying the kick I gave him. He stuck to me like an octopus. "Wife, I can't sleep if you don't hold me." Nonsense. Go sleep on the floor or the sofa. I pretended to be angry and glared at him. Unfortunately, he was too thick-skinned to be threatened at all. Finally, I fell asleep in his arms. I had a premature birth. It all started when Jason and I were taking a walk around the hotel one day. We met Claire and her bestie. Claire had something to talk to Jason about, so the two of them went to the side to talk. My best friend Claire and I had nothing to say, so we got up and walked somewhere else. I met my roommate Belle, who came here with a group of people to play. He was shocked when he saw my round belly. "Oh my God, Aaron, are you pregnant?" His tone and the way he looked at me made me very uncomfortable. I didn't answer his question and just walked back. But he held me back, leaned close to my ear and lowered his voice. "Is the child Jason's? Or another man's?" I frowned when I heard that. My roommate Belle has always had an inexplicable hostility towards me. I still haven't figured out the source of that hostility. Belle joked, "You're doing something big in silence? But Jason won't marry you even if you get pregnant. He and Claire are going to get engaged in a few days. They are a perfect match." After Belle finished speaking, he patted my face, trying to warn me about something. I struggled to free my hand from his and cursed, "It's none of your business. You live by the sea? Why do you care so much?" I was so angry that I became emotional. Jason was such a bastard that he didn't even tell me he was getting engaged. A few days ago, he said that he would take me abroad to get married after I gave birth to the baby. Suddenly, I felt a pain in my stomach. Before I passed out, I said to Belle, "Call 120 for me." Unexpectedly, Belle ran away, leaving me there. 19. When I woke up again, what I saw was a white ceiling. I reached out and touched my stomach. It was empty. My child is gone. Tears flowed down like pearls from a broken string. At this time, a panicked male voice came from the door. "Baby, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling unwell? Do you want me to call a doctor?" I grabbed his hand and shook my head. "I'm sorry, I didn't protect our child." "It's okay. Your safety is the most important thing." Jason hugged me and said, "Don't cry. It breaks my heart. But that was our first child and he's gone." I cried so hard that my voice was incoherent. At this moment, a light cough was heard at the door. "Excuse me. I'm going to push your son in now." I looked in the direction of the voice and saw Claire and her best friend. "Why are these two people here?" Perhaps seeing my confusion, Jason explained, "The child is still alive." I was stunned, and then realized that I had just cried like that. It's so embarrassing. 20. It turns out Claire has a wife. The person who has always been with her is not her best friend, but her wife. If these two people hadn't held hands in front of me just now, I wouldn't have known. And Jason just told me that his and Claire's original plan was to pretend to get engaged. In private, they are still with the people they like. Later, when Jason found out I was pregnant, he changed his mind and wanted to give me a legitimate identity. Unfortunately, his father is rather old-fashioned and it is impossible for us to be together. The two changed their plan and planned to replace someone at the engagement party to catch Jason's father off guard. Unexpectedly, I was taken away and hidden by Jason's father. In order to find me, Jason went back early to take over the family business, hoping to use his power to sideline his father. Now, Claire and the others have left. I put my hands on my hips and looked at Jason, who was peeling fruit for me with a stern face. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Jason stroked my hair. "I thought you knew. After all, many people in school know that Claire has someone she likes, and I never thought that a confused kid like you wouldn't know that. By the way, when you went to England, did you misunderstand the relationship between me and her?" Feeling somewhat guilty, I had no choice but to retell him everything I had overheard in the stairwell. Jason laughed angrily and reached out to pinch my face. "Why don't you listen to the whole conversation when eavesdropping on others? I did deny that I didn't like you, but you didn't hear me say I loved you afterwards." Jason's sudden confession stunned me. This was the first time someone said love to me. This word was so luxurious and unfamiliar to me. I felt a little uneasy, so I tugged at the corner of my clothes and whispered, "How could you love me?" There was a sudden stinging sensation on my lips, and I found Jason leaning over and biting me. "No conscience. You agreed to be with me so readily back then, didn't you recognize my identity?" 21. 15 years ago. One snowy night, I secretly got up to make a snowman, but I didn't expect that a dirty boy would fall in the yard. Damn it, someone climbed over the wall again and abandoned the child. I rushed to rescue the man and asked the dean to give him medicine. He must have been abused, his body is covered with scars. But the other person seemed to be a little mute, and after saving him, he didn't speak. I was afraid that he wouldn't be able to adapt to life in the orphanage, so I always stayed by his side and accompanied him. In the morning when we were all together playing on the swings, I said to him, "Look, little brother, this is a toy I made by myself. I'll give it to you to play with." As he sat in a chair in a daze, I said to him, "This is the candy that a philanthropist brought some time ago. I couldn't bear to eat it, so I'll give it to you." On a rainy day, I said to him, "Do you like dragonflies? I'll catch one for you." Later, when he had almost recovered from his injuries, he finally spoke to me. But all he said was, "You're too noisy, can you let me be quiet for a while?" I only found out then that he had a name, Jason. He stayed in the orphanage for a while, and then disappeared. I couldn't find him in the yard, so I was anxious to go out and look for him. The dean stopped me and told me not to worry, saying that he had returned to where he should go and would not be wronged. 22. Jason and I got together on Christmas Eve of my freshman year. At that time, the school held a New Year's Eve party in advance. I went on stage and sang a song, and then many people started to harass me. They said they were pursuing me, but their behavior was more dissolute than the other, not blocking my way to class and forcing me to agree to be with them. When I was eating, they surrounded me and made me eat the strange things they brought. I rejected them all, but they still wouldn't give up. Finally, I couldn't stand it anymore and went to my roommate Jason. Jason has a prominent family background and is a well-known figure in the school. Even the school leaders give him some face. I was quite nervous at that time, but I still asked what I thought was the bravest question I had ever asked in my life. "Jason, can you pretend to be my boyfriend and help me scare those people away? I can be your little brother, make you meals, and wash your socks for you." At that time in the dormitory, Jason stopped playing with his phone and looked at me with a playful look. He said in a nonchalant tone, "But I don't want to be fake, I want to be serious. If you promise me that you don't have to wash my socks, I can wash your underwear for you." I blushed and finally agreed to him. 23. Not long after giving birth, I went back to school. The child is taken care of by a large group of servants, so I am of no use at all. But I didn't expect that on the way to class, everyone would point fingers at me. After asking, I found out that I was being spread rumors all over the place. The rumor that was created was about me and Jason's father. The forum posted photos of me and Jason's father entering and leaving the hotel that day. I didn't expect Aaron to be this kind of person. He was actually kept by a rich old man. He took a break from school for so long, could it be that he went to have a baby? At such a young age, he has learned to take shortcuts. I don't know if he is the one on top or the one on the bottom. After seeing the news, the counselor contacted me hurriedly and asked me to explain it clearly. Otherwise, the school will expel me for having a bad academic style. Jason was furious when he learned about these widespread rumors. He simply created a certified account and posted a message on the forum. "This person is mine, don't get involved, understand?" Then he showed us the family photo we took in the hotel banquet hall that day, and he considerately blurred the child's face. As soon as the news came out, the school forum exploded. Those posts that spread rumors about me disappeared one after another. But Jason had already hired a lawyer to collect evidence, and he sued all those who were the first to spread rumors about me. Later we found out that the initiator of that incident was my roommate Belle. Belle originally liked Jason, but he knew Jason liked me. They have been secretly creating misunderstandings for us. He won't have a chance to escape legal sanctions this time. That night, I picked out a skirt that Jason liked and wore it as a woman to show him. Unexpectedly, Jason lost control. The next day, I didn't wait to get up and go to class. 24. After the birth of my child, my body became more sensitive, which drove Jason, who had been a vegetarian for a long time, crazy. But he still didn't have the heart to move me so quickly. Soon, 3 months passed and the child grew up day by day. Today, when I wanted to express milk for my baby, Jason appeared in front of me out of nowhere. He said in an aggrieved tone, "Wife, when will this brat be able to stop breastfeeding? Can't he eat goat's milk or cow's milk? Why, you want to drink mine instead of him?" "Yes," he answered without hesitation. Looking at the shameless Jason, I don't know what to say about him. During this period, he not only had to go to school, but also had to go to work in the company and learn how to manage the company in his spare time. This was the condition his father gave us at the time for being together. In fact, we don't have much time to spend together. He comes home in the middle of the night every day, and I am basically asleep by then. Jason took the things in my hand and said to me, "Honey, is this okay?" Roll. Jason, are you a child? You're trying to snatch food from a child. But that night I was still seduced by him. There was a bright moonlight outside, and inside the house was Jason's cedar scent mixed with my sweet fragrance.